Realize that Black Americans have been liberating themselves for as long as they have been here, for over 400 years. Look at the way that Black people have created their own spaces, created their own communities throughout American history. Even when white people have gone and tried to destroy them, they have managed to create their own culture, their own language. They're protective of those spaces.
The Asian community is literally so anti-Black, and it literally pisses me off. Like, we are literally so uneducated, uninformed, just misinformed, everything about the Black community.
Do you want to know why there's a hate between Asian people and Black people? Let me tell you. There's no hate. Asian people love Black people. Do you want to know why Asian Americans just want to be Black all the time?
For too long, Asian Americans stayed silent while the world ignored the power and influence of Black America. Many kept quiet, staying in the background, benefiting from privileges without speaking up. But that is finally changing. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy, and today we are diving into a major shift. Asian Americans are breaking their silence. They are recognizing the strength of Black America and calling for unity like never before. And as you know, for decades, these conversations were rare. Asian Americans often avoided challenging anti-Blackness or speaking out. But now, voices are rising. People are acknowledging past silence, calling out injustice, and reaching across communities for solidarity. What you're about to see is proof that change is happening, and it's bigger than many expected. So let's dive into it.
When you become pro-Asian enough, you start listening to Black people and become pro-Black as well. I'm not talking about individual Asian advancement where you play pick-me to white people, cater to them, make yourself smaller for them, maybe marry one of them, and then move up in society that way. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When you're interested in the liberation of the Asian American collective and in Asians around the world freeing themselves, and specifically to Asian Americans because we are a relatively new ethnic group in America, you realize that Black Americans have been liberating themselves for as long as they have been here, for over 400 years. You look at the way that they ostracize the pick-me's in their community, the Candace Owens, you can see what happened with Onyeka, the Danish deception girl. Black people, and specifically Black women, did not let them off the hook. Candace Owens can no longer go to Black people for any kind of support or help because as a collective, they have disowned her. Why are Asians not doing more of that? Look at the way that Black people have created their own spaces, created their own communities throughout American history. Even when white people have gone and tried to destroy them, they have managed to create their own culture, their own language. They're protective of those spaces. They embrace their ethnic features and hair texture instead of just doing whatever Karen is doing. And this, I'm talking generally. I'm not saying that every Black American is like this. I'm saying that a lot of them are, and that the general sentiment that I get from that community is that they are proud to be who they are. So if you're Asian and you're thinking, I want to be able to wear my qipao to school. I don't like it when people gentrify my food after making fun of it my entire childhood. I don't like being fetishized, and I will not marry someone who does that to me. When you start thinking this way, you just look right on over to Black people, and they've already had those thoughts. They've already done the same thing. You just do it in your own Asian flavor. And this doesn't even get into the fact that our liberation is all tangled up in each other. Like all the minorities in the US and in the world, overthrowing white supremacy is like a collective effort. And Black people have been telling us this since we got here. I'm just hoping that if I say it, then maybe you will listen.
I'm mad at Asian Americans because why are we so smart but so silent? What's with the silence? I suspect that if we opened our mouths, we would side with Black people and other brown people as the real American heroes. Yeah, we're brown, not white. But this would disrupt the white supremacy brainwash we're caught in. And deep down, we hate ourselves for siding with whiteness. We know they're wrong. Our silence is the sound of us hating ourselves. But that's the Squid Game trap that they set for us, an Asian American matrix that messes with our reality. And it's all based on hating Black people. You know, the ones we're all secretly trying to copy, even the white peoples. White supremacy isn't smart, but it's tricky like that. You like being tricked? I don't know any Asians who put up with that.
Black and Asian solidarity isn't just something that I want. It's something that has lasted for generations. Now, I'm not going to deny that there have been instances of tension between the Black and Asian community. There have been individuals in each of our communities that have caused harm onto one another. At the same time, and most importantly, by and large, both communities want to work together and build towards a better future. And let's take a look at history. The abolishment of the Chinese Exclusion Act was largely due to Black civil rights leaders advocating for it, which led to the passing of the Hart-Celler Act in 1965. And there have been leaders such as Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs who have stood side by side with the black community fighting for the liberation of black people. And for years, Japanese American leaders have used reparations given to Japanese Americans after Japanese internment as justification for why the black community should also receive reparations. So yeah, like any community and people, we have differences, but there's a hell of a lot more love.
I've seen a few comments like this with, Asians and black people fighting in my comment section. And honestly, it shows how little we actually talk about the history behind all of this. The tension didn't just magically appear. It was shaped by decades of laws, segregation, stereotypes, and political narratives that pushed our communities apart. When Asian immigrants first came to the US, they weren't allowed to live just anywhere. Segregation forced them into black and brown neighborhoods because those are the only areas open to anyone who wasn't white. So Asians and Black Americans were physically close, but not always connected. Different languages, different histories, limited communication, misunderstandings grew out of that. Then in the 1960s, during the Civil Rights Movement, the US created the model minority myth. The idea that Asian Americans were successful, quiet, and proof that racism doesn't exist. That stereotype was never meant to lift Asians up. It was meant to contrast Asians against Black Americans and basically say, see, they're doing fine, why can't you? It was a political tool that built resentment and pressure on both sides, even though neither community created that narrative. At the same time, anti-Blackness already existed in some Asian cultures because of colonialism, colorism, and Western media influence. And for some Black Americans, their only interactions with Asians were through local businesses, corner stores, nail salons, restaurants, situations that were transactional, not relational. That created frustration and stereotypes on both sides. But here's the thing. In both communities, it's only a small handful of people who are actually hateful or racist. A few loud, ignorant individuals do not represent millions of us. We can't let the worst examples define entire communities.
Now that we've seen these clips, let's explore the bigger picture. Asian Americans have historically stayed quiet, often guided by the model minority myth, the idea that success meant blending in, staying out of conflict, and avoiding activism. While some gained privileges, that silence often came at the cost of turning a blind eye to systemic racism against Black Americans. But solidarity isn't new. The term Asian American itself emerged from the energy of Black Power movement in the 1960s, and activists like Yuri Kochiyama and Grace Lee Boggs worked alongside Black organizers, proving that real change happens when communities of color unite. And unfortunately, stereotypes and societal pressure later pushed many Asian Americans away from that path. But today we are witnessing a new awakening. Asian Americans are publicly speaking out, confronting anti-Blackness and building bridges with Black communities. And many openly admit that staying silent in the past was wrong, and that true justice requires courage, requires action and solidarity. And recognizing the power of Black America isn't just moral. It's essential for progress across all communities of color. And this shift is transformative. When Asian Americans and Black Americans unite, they dismantle the false narrative that communities of color must compete against one another. They show that true strength comes from connection and collective action. And for younger generations, seeing this publicly inspires a new era of activism, one that rejects the stereotypes and embraces justice for all. So watching Asian Americans break the silence and speak on the power of Black America is powerful. So guys, what do you think about this? Can Asian and Black Americans build a stronger, united future together? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more trending stories. Thank you so much for sticking around with me. My name is Amy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay blessed.